Chair Follansby, we're ready when you are.
Okay, this is Chairman Stephen Follansby of the Governance Committee, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Governance Committee virtually on December 13, 2022, and I apologize for being late, to order.
Thank you, Chair Follansby. Call to order at 1:18 p.m. And when you're ready, we can call agenda item number 2.
Sorry, I did. It somehow muted automatically. I meant to call number 2. I tried. So
Okay.
I'll call it to order. Yeah, call item number 2 now.
Agenda item number 2 is roll call, starting with Chair Follansby,
Present.
Commissioner Scott, Commissioner Scott, we can see you.
Present.
Thank you. And Commissioner Zavansky.
You know, the system's automatically muting us, so maybe we have to unmute. I got muted automatically.
All right, let's make sure we can just hear Commissioner Zavansky, and I'll work on that from the back end. I'm looking at our participants too to see about our muting.
She's talking, but I can see she's talking.
In the moment, Commissioner Zavansky, if you get a hand thing.
Yeah, I just saw what I accidentally, hit it. Got it.
Okay,
All right, so we have our quorum.
great. So we'll go to agenda item number 3.
Thank you, Chair Follansby. Agenda item number 3 is request for approval of the Health Service Board governance policies in terms of reference updates. This is an action item and will be presented by Iftikhar Hussain, SFHSF Chief Financial Officer.
Okay, Mr. Hussain.
And I can see there is a mute.
There's a mute problem again.
I'm going to be watching that very closely, and let's try it again for Mr. Hussain. Let's see if we can.
Good afternoon. This is a follow-up to the last meeting, Governance Committee meeting on in November, and we identified 4 areas in the terms of reference that needed updating, and the memo which is presented up on the screen outlines the changes that have been made to the terms of reference. The first one, the first request from the November meeting was the structure for making exceptions to the policy, and that in the past has been handled by suspending policies that we need exceptions to. Typically, the stabilization policy when adjustments need to be made, but on advice of council, we do not need a policy for exceptions to the policy. And if there's more questions, I think Jennifer could answer if there's any questions on that subject. But I'll just keep going. I'll just go through all the changes we've made. Then under organizational planning and risk management, we added language clarifying that risk management planning includes audit and compliance plans. And so that is now covered by that by policy by TOR 20101. We also added language to the contingency reserve methodology policy in the objectives section of that policy. We added language to say that the establishment of the contingency reserves fulfills the need or provides adequate protection against the benefit of any stop loss insurance that we would have to externally purchase. And lastly, on policy 213, or terms of reference 213 has been added. And in that, we address the situation we had this year where we had a legal settlement. And for accepting and the use of that legal settlements, we now have a new policy. So those are the changes. Happy to answer any questions from the committee.
President Scott, go ahead.
Yes, I'm looking at the memo and then trying to find in the terms of reference 101, item 9, as you've outlined it in the memo. Was in item 9, there is no F. Was there an F listed there and it was deleted? Item F under section or number 9.
Oh, it was never there.
It
So
was
the
never.
request was to add it. I added it, then deleted it.
Okay. Well, I just noticed that the memo and the item or that section didn't jive, and I just needed to have that clarified for the record. And then, in 210, the contingency reserve policy, the new item 3. It reads establishment of the contingency reserve services in lieu of external stop loss insurance. I think either there needs to be a conjunction there. It's either that serves and the rest of the sentence, or which serves.
I thought, actually, these are very useful. What I was hoping we would do would be to go through each section independently, screen by screen, rather than try to deal with it all at one point in the comments. Can we come back to your comments, President Scott, in each section? I
Yes.
wanted to start with it because we started with the summary slide of all the recommendations. So
Yes.
rather than dealing with these issues, I'd like to sort of go through one by one. And
All right.
starting with maybe Jennifer's response to the request that if we were going to sort of not follow our policies and procedures, that we have in the governance rules, that we had a mechanism to do that. And the recommendation was actually not to have any reference to that we would always follow, I guess. So maybe, Jennifer, could you maybe clarify that comment for the terms of reference, item A in 101?
That was my recommendation. I'm have to be careful here because we need to protect the attorney-client privilege. So if I went into detail about how I got to that analysis, I'd really want us to be in closed session. So I'm not sure what the best way to provide you the information while we're here.
Is it all right if I describe what I think is the rationale for us making this recommendation?
Provided that you don't say anything regarding attorney-client privileged information.
Yeah, for me, it was just sort of a practicality. We've had very rare occasions, and to my knowledge, only with the stabilization policy have we had a need to suspend any policy. So to create an allowance for speculative uses of such a need to suspend or exclude certain policies is just doesn't make any sense to me. I think if we bump up against something like that, it would be complex and we would have to delve into it. So that's just the practicality of it.
Thank you, Abby, for that. I think that in the meeting, we acknowledged that it was an incredibly rare event anyway. And so we were just trying to, I guess, protect ourselves for the potential eventuality with establishing some sort of a mechanism. And so I understand the recommendation is not to create a mechanism. And I wasn't privy to any discussion with our attorney that I can't divulge any privileged information because all I saw was the memo as well. So I think may have to leave it at that, but we did acknowledge originally that this was indeed a rare event, and so it was added as sort of a fourth request at this point in our review of the governance policies in terms of reference. So I guess I'll maybe ask if there are any other questions from the commissioners regarding this recommendation that we could answer without going into closed session. Or are people comfortable with this?
I'm comfortable with the explanation and the discussion that we've had.
Okay. Commissioner Savansky, are you comfortable with this? So
I concur. I'm comfortable with it. Yeah,
Okay.
for the
Okay, great.
explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. So we've divulged no privileged information. So I think we can go on now to the item 1B, item 21, actually. I think this is not, Commissioner President Scott, where you wanted to add I think this is the, so I think any comments about this section, 1B, or 21?
I had nothing to add to that.
And we can see on the screen, just to make sure everyone's on the same page, on the left side of the document, there's a little sort of upward dash line, which is simply a sort of thank you very much, Secretary Scott, Secretary Lopez for that, which is just a non-substantive change, where it was just adding a minor grammatical issue. To the right is the formatted changes, which is the more substantive, frankly. So you can see what was added or deleted or reformatted in that. So, Commissioner Savansky, is there any discussion or concerns about these changes?
Not on this page.
Okay. We moved.
Just as a point of clarification, this exactly includes, from my perspective, what we asked for in our prior meeting.
Yes, I agree. I concur.
It's very cleanly and simply worded. I'm glad they found a place to put it, quite frankly.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree. Okay, so I think that the next page has no changes at all that are substantive at all either. And so, so I think are we moving now to the third recommendation? The contingency reserve policy. So I'm sorry, I think you had some question. President Scott, where was your?
It's on the contingency reserve policy.
Okay.
The one we're going to now. And I was referring to under policy objectives, item 3. It states establishment of the contingency reserve serves in lieu of external stop loss insurance except where required by the health plan. And I thought that in my mind that it needed to have a conjunction there. Establishment of the contingencies reserve, it's either which or that serves.
Okay.
So I'll defer to the legal, our counsel as to whether the conjunction is needed and whether it should be which or that, just to clarify. And to the CFO.
I did make some changes that aren't reflected here, so I'm not sure the best way to deal with it. I thought instead of serves in lieu of, maybe services the same purpose as was what
I'm sorry,
I had.
could you repeat yourself there?
Sure. Instead of services in lieu of, serves the same purpose as.
I'm comfortable with that. It needed some help because it didn't hang right or read right to me. So if you want to insert that, I would accept that.
and the-
Thank you. And I think that the best way to handle it, so I don't want the timeline is, as I've discussed this with Holly Lopez, these changes will be sent out more than 10 days now. Our policies say 10 days, but because it falls on a holiday for the health HSFs in the city, will be sent on December 30th. And so I don't want any surprises, even if they seem small and grammatical. So maybe, Jennifer, if you have other suggestions, either here or in the pages before, if you would tell us so we can get it into the record. And so that none of us are surprised when we see the final document. So did you have changes before we move into this section further? Did you have changes prior to this in any of
did
the
not.
other? Okay, so it's in this section. Do you want to outline at this point? And I'll encourage everyone to, if they have changes, to please make them verbally now in session rather than appear magically later. So Jeffrey, did you want to maybe mention what your other changes are so we can hear them?
Sure. So it's just in that one section 3.
Can you repeat
as
that
I
again,
said,
please?
Section 3, the section
repeat
we're looking
your
at, that's the
change.
only changes I have. And then it would be the way I had it, it would read establishment of the contingency reserve serves the same purpose as, that's the new language. External stop loss insurance, and therefore external stop loss insurance will not be purchased. And that's new. And then it goes into except where required by the health plan.
I just did a cut and paste and sent it to Holly. And Holly, if you want to display that for the board, that sentence that Jennifer just read, so everybody can see it.
So Mr. Hussein, how does that sound to you? Because I agree with the comments that President Scott made before. I was quite impressed with the clarity and the work that went into this. So these proposed changes, does that sit okay with you?
Yeah, actually that improves it. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And Commissioner Zavansky, this change, did you hear it and is it clear?
Yeah, and I actually concur. I appreciate the clarification because I was having difficulty as well, and was about to support what Commissioner Scott was bringing up. So I think that the clarification that we heard is accurate, is good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so if we can go back to the page, and so Jennifer Donnelly, do you have other suggestions in this on this section or page? You're muted again.
That was the only section that I had.
Great, thank you. And any other modifications of what we see here on this page from either the commissioners or anyone else in attendance for us to consider? Okay, if not, we'll go on to the contingency. Let's see. So I'm sorry, Holly, have you gone to the next page then? Is that? Oh, you just added, the screen's so small, I can't quite.
Yes, so Chair Follansby, I'll go back to, I was able to drop in the language that Jennifer described.
Okay,
So that it can be inserted into policy 210 under 3, and then the full policy. This is the second page of the policy that was
Okay.
edited. Yeah.
okay. Okay. So are there any recommendations or questions regarding this page and the substantive changes? Yes, Commissioner Savansky.
I've already discussed this with Holly, but one of my concerns was in C3C. that it looked like I was trying to figure out if what was being deleted was a combination where employee per was combined somehow, and we needed to separate that, because my point was, if you have the PEPY, you need to retain employee per. So it's per employee per year, because that gives credibility to the acronym. And so I think we worked it out, but I just wanted to call it to your attention that it was a little bit confusing, because we need to retain the phrase to support the acronym. And that was, I think, the only thing I had on this page.
Is that
And I think, and
clear to
also it's,
everybody? I think, yeah.
Yes.
yeah, and I think it happened in 3A as well, where it was delete and paid, and it looked like for whatever reason, some words got combined, and I think if it reformatted, sometimes there was a line break, but it wasn't a space break, and so words ended up being combined as they were reformatted, and it just got confusing, but it seems to be what might have happened in this section. Thank you. You see it in D as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
so those are clear and without objection?
Yes.
Can I make one grammatical suggestion, and that is under C, the regression data are used. Data is plural. Datum is singular, so the change is to are.
Thank you, Commissioner Follinsby. I went back and forth over that
No,
5 times.
it's a
You're
bugaboo
right.
of mine. It is
No,
not
you're,
a substantive change.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
And
Any
Chair Follansby,
further-
will you
yes.
point out just more specifically where that was exactly so we can
Yeah,
make note?
3C
3C.
starts, the regression data are used. So you strike is and replace it with are to note that data are plural. So you
Thank you.
strike out is and you replace it with are used. Yeah.
Okay.
Data is okay, is not, are is the right word.
Hey, so at the risk of being this grammar, so the should come out, right? Regression data, are you? No?
Well, no,
So-
you could, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I don't care about that because, it is the data. So, so whether the doesn't have a plurality or singularity to it.
Yeah,
To my knowledge.
doesn't matter. It's,
No.
it's the verb that goes after data.
Yeah. So if you want to strike out the and just say, start with the 3Cs, start with regression data are used, that's fine with me. I don't care one way or the other. Are you more comfortable with striking the, Mr. Hussain?
Actually, it's fine to leave the in. That's fine.
Okay, let's leave it the and the data are. Okay, small change, long discussion. Any other items on this page at this point? Okay, if we can move to the next page. So this is the fourth item that we had asked to be addressed, which has to do with, again, this unusual circumstance. I'm sure, Jennifer Donellan, that you had a chance to review this as well and concur with not only with the wording, but the intent and sort of vagueness about, to the health plan that for which it is most closely related or something.
I did review this, and we also, I think, as Director Yan had said earlier, we also got an opinion by Chris Sears from Ice Miller regarding our use of HSS's use of the settlement policy, money in the ways that they've identified.
Okay.
And the board has the board has the authority to enact this.
Okay, thank you. So I was referring to, again, statement under settlement policy number 1, that the settlement funds will be accepted and deposited in the medical trust fund for the health plan that most closely matches the claim. And so that was what I was referring to. And it's a little vague, but most closely matches. But I don't think we need to define that in legal terms. So that's great. Okay. Any
And again,
disagreement?
Commissioner Follansby, I think that this at least puts on the record. Now, we may find some future need to modify it in some way,
Yeah.
but
Well-
it is responsive to the most recent experience that we had with this type of issue. And it fills in the gap to provide us some guidance for the future. And that was the request for making this change.
Okay. Good. I think this is excellent. It's a new section. I appreciate this. Okay, so I think, unless Holly, is there another slide, or is that the summary of all the changes that we had requested 1 through? Okay. So, so what I will, if there's any, is there any further discussion or recommendations at this point? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendations to modify our governance policies and rules of governance as as modified, both in the agenda and then as a result of this meeting.
I move that we accept all of the recommended modifications and changes in the terms of reference 101, 210, and the new policy reference 213 as distributed and discussed and edited as a result of this meeting.
Second.
So it's been moved and seconded. And so I'd like to open this up for public comment.
Thank you, Chair Follansby. Each public comment will be allowed 3 minutes to comment in length unless the committee chair deems new public comment time limits during the meeting. All public comments are to be made concerning the agenda item that has been presented. A caller may ask questions of the policy body, but there's no obligation to answer or engage in dialogue with the caller. When I welcome you on the call, you're encouraged to state your name clearly, although you may remain anonymous. I'll give you an audible warning when you have 30 seconds remaining, and when your 3 minutes have ended, I'll thank you for your call. You'll be placed back on mute, and the moderator will unmute the next caller. Opportunities to speak during the public comment period are available by dialing the number on the screen. The dial-in number, which will be displayed now, is 415-655-0001. Again, 415-655-0001. When prompted, use access code 2499-961-0802. Again, 2499-961-0802. Then press pound and pound again. You'll enter the meeting as an attendee on the public comment call line and dial *3 to be added to the public comment queue. When the system message says your line has been unmuted, this is your time to speak. For those already on hold, please continue to wait until the system indicates you have been unmuted. We'll begin with our virtual public comment, and our moderator will notify us of any callers in the public comment queue at this time.
Board Secretary, we have 1 caller on the phone line. 0 callers have specifically entered the public comment queue at this time. A reminder to all callers on the line, you must dial *3 now if you want to join public comment for this specific agenda item. We will wait 5 more seconds and then close public comment for this agenda item. Board Secretary, there are still no callers in the public comment queue at this time.
Thank you, moderator. Hearing no further callers, public comment is now closed.
Great. Thank you very much. So it's been moved and seconded that we accept the revisions to the terms of a reference to be presented to the full Health Service Board in our January 2023 meeting. And so I will call for a roll call vote.
Roll call vote starting with Chair Follansby,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott,
Aye.
and Commissioner Zemansky.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. I think that this concludes our agenda except for adjournment. So with that, unless there are any other comments, I will go ahead and remind everyone that these changes will be circulated to not only the board, but posted on our website on December 30th, 2022, for consideration at the January regular meeting of the Health Service Board for 2023. And so otherwise, I call the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much and happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays to everyone.
Happy holidays
holidays.
to everyone and Happy New Year as well.
Exactly.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you very
Commissioners.
much for everyone's participation.
Thank you, Commissioners. Adjournment at 1:48 p.m.